everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Critical Hit. My name is Ed.
And I'm Finn, and today we're going to be reviewing... This was a tough one. It had fantastic marketing and we tried to go into this with an open mind, despite first word of mouth being so negative after the embargo lifted for reviews on the 19th. We will go over the movie synopsis shortly, but let's first discuss the elephant in the room. Is the Barbie movie woke? I would not just say the movie is woke, it's almost a summary of every woke activist talking point over the past decade. It is incredibly preachy about nonsensical ideas. I hate to use the word, but I would consider this movie to be propaganda inspired by third wave feminism with a sprinkle of Antifa thrown in. I understand I was not the target audience for this movie, but it makes me worry to think this movie has a target audience and that the director actually believes the message in the film.
With that out of the way, let's break down the movie. The first 20 minutes is spent in Barbie Land, and the visuals and the concepts were pretty interesting. Barbie has a matriarchy over the Kens, and the time spent in Barbie Land had some very stereotypical but fun concepts. It was a fairly enjoyable way to start the first part of the movie. It was massively overacted, but it was done by everyone in Barbie Land, and it felt like that was part of the charm. But considering it was meant for children, I felt like the joke didn't really hit well.
Barbie, despite having a perfect world, starts having an existential crisis that leads us into the real world. And once we get there, things go downhill pretty quickly. A man sexually assaults Barbie, and then she hits him back, and then she gets arrested, because that's how the law works. And that's just a taste of what's to come, because the movie spends the next hour preaching to the audience that life is not fair for women. Men have it too easy, and most of the world's problems are caused by them. The writer of this movie believes that without male interjection, we would have a utopian society.
We have a side story of Ken returning to Barbie Land after discovering that a male society is supposed to be a patriarchy, and he needs to return to Barbie Land to liberate all Kens with these ideas. They use every male trope that they can think of to essentially say that men are primal, stupid, awful beings controlled by their genitals. Even though they make a point to state that they don't even have them in the film. Having said that, even though if there was any joke that ever landed, it had to come from Ken, especially from Ryan Gosling. He was probably the most enjoyable part of this movie.
Barbie during this finds the woman who used to play with her having a rough time in life, and this leads her to taking our real woman back into Barbie Land where it's better and she can be happier. Because the stretch is Barbie's existential crisis stems from this woman's unhappiness. This is where we find all the Kens have taken over and brainwashed all the Barbies, and a plot hole that never gets explained.
The Barbies devise a plan to use deceit and jealousy to control the Kens, to make them fight a war against themselves. And while they're employing violence, they trick the Kens into losing their right to vote and change Barbie Land so they can go back to being perfect. Because now that we know that violence is the answer, I'm sure the Kens will respect the democratic vote that they were just not a part of. The movie has a hint of inspiration at the end. Barbie doesn't know her ending, and Barbie's creator, Ruth Handler, comes to tell her that that was on purpose, and that she wants to find her own ending. She turns Barbie into a human, because she's meant to be more than just a sex symbol, just like the movie has described her. But I feel this ruins the message the movie has been attempting to make with lame jokes and that made no sense and didn't land. Instead of letting her find her own path in life, is showing us what she could have been or has become. Her first stop is to the gynecologist, and I'm supposed to believe the most important part of a woman is her hoo-ha. The movie has spent the last better part of 2 hours preaching to me that this was not the case, and that's how they decide to end it.
The Mattel executives don't add to the movie. Instead, they're just there for cheap jokes about how terrible men are that don't really land. They do nothing to further the plot of the movie, and if you took them out of the movie, it would have the exact same story. The only real purpose they serve is to show that men can grow in a way women want through Ken, and also in negative ways through the Mattel executives. This movie reeks of a woman who grew up in a social bubble without understanding the world around her. It hints at the positive themes of feminism, and embraces all the negative ones. I've never watched her films before, and I didn't know who Greta Gerwig was prior to Barbie. But I do now. And if I ever see her attached to direct a film again, I know I won't be watching it. This is the worst example of ideological insertion I can remember in a film. There was a good way to insert feminism into this film, and if it had been through first or second wave, where Barbie stems from, I think they could have actually had a good movie.
I was so excited for this movie. There is no denying the marketing for this film was fantastic, and with the production budget of around $100 million, it's going to make them some money. But when they decide to do a sequel, I hope people are aware enough to stay clear from it. I will never watch this movie again, and if you had plans to see it, we recommend you cancel them. Wish we had some better news on this movie, but those were our honest thoughts.
That's it for us. If you have seen this movie, let us know your thoughts. I would be thrilled to talk to someone who did enjoy it and find out what kind of social liberal degree they acquired, comrade.
See you in the next video. Toodles!
Bye, guys.